Hey, hi. I want to spend just a few minutes with you to tell you a little bit about the BELove app and how you can play a role in helping to bring more love into the world. Over the last several months, those of you who've been sort of tracking me through the healing conversation know that I've begun to really open up my channel to share what I see, and part of that is the birthing of this top of the hour breath together, the BELove app, BE standing for Butterfly Effect Love app. The app will be on our phones, and it will give us a chime at the top of every hour. We'll click a button. That button communicates with the central database, and what will come back after a minute or so is a report, basically a visual of two things. One, how many people took a breath, a conscious breath of love together at the top of the hour, so we can see what our volume of breath looks like, and then a soul pod feedback so that you'll be able to see how many people in your unique alchemy of humans that you've collected into your soul pod are participating in the mindful top of the hour breath with you. My vision for this is to really encourage people to set up a soul pod, to look around them and say, who do I want to be breathing love with? Who do I want to begin to build momentum with? Because really that's what's going to happen here. This is me trying to start a wave all by myself, and I can't do it. I have to have help. And so I'm putting this video out now to encourage you to start thinking about who you want in your soul pod. That I think there are natural soul pods. There are family groups. There are classmates. There are perhaps spiritual groups that you belong to, maybe your church, maybe your synagogue, maybe your yoga group. Wherever you find common beliefs, common hearts, this breath at the top of the hour will enhance that. And so I'm sending out this video, putting it out there now, because it's going to take 3 or 4 months for this app to be developed. I've chosen the app developer. We've got some initial funding to start this. The second way that you can help with this app is to contribute. I'm putting together kind of a Kickstarter campaign that'll come out in the next week or two. We're starting a not-for-profit called Of One Breath that will host, and receive funds for the app. But it's not just the app. So the app is on your phone, you download it, you'll enter in a few details about yourself, maybe answer a few questions about things that are really important to you, like are you interested in being part of a soul pod that is focused on healing addiction, or healing the soil, or healing the air, or healing the water, or healing our food, or healing our bodies, or shifting commerce to conscious capitalism. Whatever your focus of your soul is, there is likely to be more people just like you. And so you'll have your soul pod, but you can elect also to belong to a soul pod that is very mission-driven, purpose-driven, heart-centered, purpose-driven. So this app will have a back story to it, right? It isn't just the data that comes in at the top of every hour. How many people are breathing across the country, across the world? How many people are breathing in your various soul pods? It will also have a website on the back end that you'll be able to go in and we can see the trends, right? So what are we trending toward? We're trending toward 3.5% of the population to engage in a mindful breath at the top of the hour. Why? Because 3.5% seems to be the tipping point of shift in non-violent resistance movements. And what are we resisting? We're resisting fear. We're resisting the malware of fear that has um, infected our human operating system that defaults to love. And so by taking a breath together, just one mindful breath at the top of every hour, to remember that we are here to love and be loved, that that is the essence. Our bodies tell us that that is true, and everything else, all the other rules about how we're supposed to show up in society, how we're supposed to show up in community, how we're supposed to show up in relationship, all of that is out there, and it will be dealt with. But let's first start with coming together in a unity field of breath. And if you think about it, and I want you to, every breath that you take, somebody else has breathed before you. You and I share the same oxygen that comes in and out of the atmosphere, into our bodies and back out into the atmosphere. And there's all that beautiful work that's been done on music and vibration and words and how it impacts the crystalline nature and form and structure of mist and water and air in the universe. And so our breath has moisture into it, and it is my understanding of science and also my heartfelt belief that as we breathe in and out love together, that we're actually shifting the vibration of the oxygen around us. We're shifting the structure of it, and we begin to breathe fear out and love in to the atmosphere. And so over time, that 3.5%, or roughly 11 million people in the US, and of course, we hope that this will expand beyond the US, and I believe that it will, especially if people are willing to put a little spiritual capital out there in the universe to say, hey, will you breathe with me? Just the other day, a beautiful soul sister shared with me that there's a woman at her work that she feels has felt some friction with in the past, a misalignment of energies between them, not malice or harm in any way, just have a hard time connecting with this person. And she went to her and she said, you know, before we start this meeting, would you just stop for a minute with me and take a breath? And they did. And the woman said, thank you. Thank you. I really, I appreciate that you brought this into our relationship, that we take a breath together, remember that we're both here on the same side, trying to figure out the things on our works list of things to do, and to do it more harmoniously starts with a shared breath of loving attention with each other. I have another woman who told me about she and her mom. Her mom has got a heavy religious orientation, and her daughter doesn't, and they've had a hard time connecting, and yet they both downloaded the Chime app, which you can too. I'm suggesting that you do that now to begin to build that inner momentum for what it feels like to be present to a breath at the top of every hour, because she said now that they're living together with a 2-year-old in the house, things can be really stressed, but at the top of the hour, they take that breath together and they remember, hey, I love you and you love me. And she said it's had a huge impact on your life. So this little butterfly effect, this little breath, this little wing that's coming out of each of us of love out into the world, a lot of little breaths can have a big impact. And so I'm sharing this video with you now to sort of lay the groundwork for what's coming. This app is a sacred movement for me. And if you can feel the sacredness within yourself, then I invite you to start breathing with me now. And you can join me on Facebook. The page is called The Healing Conversation. There's more to the breath. There's sort of a backstory to the breath that I won't go into here, but it's a beautiful conversation that resets our nervous system back to the core operating system of love that's baked into our biology. We don't survive as a species. We don't thrive as humans without love and connection. And I believe we've gotten so far disconnected from that truth that this breath is a way of resetting our nervous system back to the operating system of love that is so naturally a part of who we are. And this is a way of remembering with a breath at the top of every hour who we are. So Be thinking about who you want in your soul pod. Invite them to download Chime now so that they can participate with you at that top of the hour. In another 3 or 4 months, you're going to be able to see exactly who's breathing with you. We're going to see the breath begin to grow, that wave around the stadium, that wave around the country, that wave around the world will begin to gain its own wind. We will be the wind beneath each other's wings with this breath together. So do that. So think of who's going to be in your soul pod. Get them to start breathing with you now. 2, watch for the Kickstarter. Even if you can only give $5 or $50 or $500, or it would be nice to get some big donations too, because that will really begin to enhance the PR effort that it's going to take to launch this breath. The other way you can participate is to have the healing conversation with your own family. There's a video up on the page, also up on YouTube, called The Healing Conversation, where you can begin to have this conversation within your own family group, your own soul pods. And I'll be putting out more about this later, but for now, just know that you can begin to have the conversation. You don't have to be with me to do that. This is not about me. This is about birthing something out into the world that we all can feel in our bellies as true and heart-centered and important and necessary right now when we're so steeped in fear. And part of my channel, my seer ability, shows me that that fear is only going to continue to ratchet up. So this is a way of, and I think of it as like childbirth, like we're breathing intentionally so that we can give birth to something that is pretty miraculous. Imagine that day you're sitting on the bus or in a conference room or on this New York subway, and all of a sudden somebody looks at their phone at the same time you do. You both push the button and you look up and realize, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one who wants to breathe more love into the world. And it won't matter what they look like. It won't matter where they're from. It won't matter their skin color, who they love, how they love. Just that we love. And that's what we're moving toward. So the day that happens, when I can be out in public and somebody's breathing with me, then to have been a part of the birth of this breath, I'll know that it was right and it was true and it was good and it was centered in love. And so I hope you'll join me on this journey, and I'll put out more videos ongoing, but for now, just download the app, start breathing with me, start pulling your soul pod together. Think about what you can put towards this app when it's time to start raising funds for this. Trying to raise about $50,000. I think that's what it's going to take to start this. I have a benefactor who's already stepped up with a large number, and she'll match what I can raise. So whatever you think you can do, think about what that's going to look like doubled. And then we'll go from there. So I'll keep you posted. In the meantime, breathe with me. That we are here to love and be loved. That's all I ask of people. We don't have to agree on anything. In fact, we can agree to disagree on most things, but on this one thing, I'm asking people to agree with me, that we are here to love, that we are better than how we collectively are showing up in this moment, that we are capable of so much more kindness and compassion than everything around us would indicate. Everything within me indicates that we're better than this. And that's what the breath reminds me of. So with that, I wish you a good day, a good breath, and thanks for being a part of this launch, this birth, this butterfly effect. I won't be raising my arms in a stadium all by myself. I'll have lots of people to join in with me. Aho.